getting the first pick.
Oh, get three, Pyro, get three with the
Void Kid putting on a clinic.
14 down. Oh!
Experience tranquility.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Oh, yeah!
teleporter is online.
Don't want to get into this.
The objective is now active.
Hey,
Time to raise my APM.
Audio medic. Move to the beat. Healing boost.
I'm gonna shoot you down. Routing power to forward shield.
got you good as new.
Let's get you healed up.
Regen burst activated. Let them out.
Is out there, but the shatter is going to be what they're needing to follow up on as they immediately just go out from the Maywall using the immortality to make sure nobody dies, and that was a pretty good engagement.
Regen burst activated.
So now, when we're watching this fight, they're gonna have to come in. Koala really only having Gag with an ultimate. They're looking to burst down Smoke with the Blizzards there to help them out, combined with the High Noon. Looks like they're really gonna be able to finish them out. However, Phase Sound Barrier is gonna be helping them sustain throughout it. There isn't much Gag can do, just besides from pumping in the load amount of damage. Cluster is able to finish them out. However, Red Knight Sound Barrier is gonna help Koala Kings in the advantage. Really only 3 people on the point. However, it looks like Phase is gonna be a little stuck and not be able to find much. Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Now the only person really to touch is Smoke in this overtime scenario. Both of them just try to do their best. However,
Yeah, he
that's
can't even
unfortunate.
get back on.
Oh, that sucks. As Smoke just gets off for a millisecond, and then instantly is going to regret that as we see Koala Kings take that back. And now, while people couldn't hear us, what was your initial thoughts seeing those kind of fights go back and forth so quickly?
It really came down to those ults. The team that ulted first and used more ults tend to win those fights. You definitely don't want to be over-ulting, but a lot of those fights had that clean ultimate discipline. I know Navino IGLing for Koala Kings has always been great at that. They're never over-ulting fights, and I think this map is going to be potentially more of the same. We would have seen something different if it was on Gardens potentially, but Control Center is going to lend itself to that Symmetra Brawl style again.
This is always a type of composition to where you're relying on getting that first initial pick. Navino being on the Junkrat kind of fits his personality, just throwing things out, hoping to make something happen, as they're immediately just trying to shut down Flashbacks. Smoke taking a large amount of damage to the point that Immortality has to be invested. However, it looks like the Frag is going to be able to find out Jeffbot first, maybe opening this up for them. They are able to kind of de-mech that mech from the Diva, so there's not much that they can really do. However, it looks like Spongy Cheese and Navino really being the carry types as they bring their team on their back, making out those 2 picks. However, Anguish really having the abilities to just the bear grip for this game and denying Navino from using that Riptire as he just unevens it for the side of Koala King and kind of helping them get a more lead onto the point. Yeah, Jeffbot still wants to try to roll it out, able to get Future, but has this Shatter, doesn't want to invest it, he's gonna die, and now they're finally using that windows to make sure that Koala Kings have no opportunity yet.
Here comes the
Navino,
tire.
he's wanting to use that tire, he's managing to get Faye, there's 2 people left, but we see the Junkrat mirror out, managing to get more with it, and the only person left is Kemi. There's just nothing to do that.
I mean, I don't know what to say. That fight was back and forth. We saw almost all 12 ultimates were built, like, off that first fight. It was absolutely crazy. Flashbacks were the ones that ended up keeping it, and they have about the same ults going into the second fight.
I definitely agree. That wall's gonna basically make that window absolute. It's just not gonna be able to do anything. Navino's gonna be going down. Same with Red Knight. They've lost both speed and damage, so this retreat is just gonna be a staggered one at that.
Yeah, that early window was completely negated by Defrag Symmetra Barrier. Now, Flashbacks are staggering out the fight, cleaning it up, making sure the Diva doesn't respawn right away, and I think they're going to try to hold close with the Shatter here.
I really hope they do.
Koala Kings do have their Sim Barrier, though. Push in.
But it seems Koala Kings want to deny that entire ability for them to be able to play close, making that rotation, so both these teams now meeting up in the server room. Spongy Cheese's window is going to be absolutely massive, but that Shatter's even bigger! As we see Smokes blowing it out, the Riptire combined is easily going to be helping them out with an almost 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, Smoke the British Meth Lab there with a huge Shatter to clean up that fight, only using 1 ultimate, or 2 ultimates, excuse me. A very efficient fight for Flashbacks.
Good use of abilities, and they still have 3 when it comes to the back burner. Koala Kings are going to be mirroring them in a sense, using that sound barrier to be able to engage into this fight. They want to make something out of it, so that bomb comes out. Jeffbot confused, gone from his team, is going to be picked off, while we see that bomb go on the opposite side, and Smoke being traded in evenly. That sound barrier is giving Flashbacks a bit more of an advantage, because the window's negated, there's nothing they can do from it, as Gad's just trying to heal up his team as much as possible. They are going to be trading here and there, just a Symmetra from the Dragon, able to do so much damage, having to peel from the Diva, and they're looking like they're going to be able to stop this point. Sure, Jeffbot uses the Shatter, but it is partly going to be blocked, really only hitting Potato, but not going to be followed up on, and it seems that Flashbacks bringing in a new form of momentum, and they're going to be stopping Koala King from finishing this out in a 2-0 series.
I really like the way that Flashbacks used their sound barrier that fight. We saw from Koala Kings versus Palm Beach Poggers that they really like to engage with that sound barrier and go super aggressive. Flashbacks, on the other hand, just kited it out, waited for theirs to run out, and then counter-beated and engaged right back in with their own. A very, very good disengage from the Flashbacks to cap that point.
Sometimes when you play Overwatch, I think there's a bit of an over-focus when it comes to aggression. I think being a bit passive like Flashbacks did really helped them have that opportunity and not overstay their welcome. But now with Flashbacks and Koala Kings are running such different compositions.
I told you, the Pharah could come out on Gardens. That was a little bit of maybe cheating with some insider knowledge on Flashbacks, but I'd like to see how this Pharah ball composition can do against the Brawl.
Massive brain idea. This Pharah is going to be giving them so much burst damage, but yet Smoke is going to be the one almost taken down. They're just going to immediately roll onto the frag Fame Potato. Not going to be able to do much when it comes to this. And that's pretty much how you want to play against the Pharah, I think.
Of course, the biggest mistake you could do when you're encountering that comp is to stay on point, let them poke you out, and take the fight how they want it. So Koala Kings instead took the fight to Flashbacks, took out their core on a D.Va, and cleaned up the fight from there. It's going to be very hard for Flashbacks to recontest now.
Definitely agree. They kind of expect Anguish being on this Pharah, so there's less of an element of surprise, but rather they need to be having cleaner execution. Already Smoke is just trying to put in some initial poke, going down to half health is easily going to be able to retreat, but the anti is going to find out Spongy Cheese, yet they still find this as an opportunity to just ignore them and go straight on to Potato. Now there's no healing for the majority of Flashbacks, really only the Mercy as they eventually go down. Anguish being poked out by Kemi, yet Smoke is able to get the 3K, interestingly enough, hopefully bring this into their favor. Those mines managing to find Jeffbot in an unfavorable position. Anguish also evening things by finding out Red Knight, so while Navino is going to be able to teleport back to this point fast, there's not really much time. It looks like you're just going to have Smoke being the king of this map.
Wow, I mean, an impressive play from Smoke. That is one of the advantages of this ball comp, is that the fight is not over until pretty much all 6 of you are in spawn. There's always some mechanical hero play to be made. Now it'll be a lot easier for Flashbacks to hold this point, being able to Pharah spam through the Koala Kings as they try to make rotations.
Easy or unknowing, that's what I've got to say. The barrage comes out, but the Sambair from Red Knight is perfectly placed. Anguish's ult has been nullified as Gag is using the window, hoping to pump in some extra healing. Chefbot's gonna solo shatter, but yet gonna be losing Red Knight in that type of trade. Navino wants to be using that window to hopefully negate most of the damage, and Anguish is gonna end up killing themselves. Yet Chooser's gonna be able to find out Gag. They managed to get the Reds out combined with the D.Va bomb. They still have the advantage on the side of Flashback. It's gonna look like, sure, that D.Va Mac kill is gonna be there, but they don't really have much besides from the fact that 2 people are now only fighting Choser. They need a bit of backup as they're negating, trying to just stop this point from being captured. To be honest, when they coming back first, they may have the immortality, but there's not nothing left, and it looks like all the teams are just going to be ending up staggering themselves.
They didn't have to use the Nano Pharah to clean up this fight, which is definitely an ultimate that they would have liked to held, but holding on to the point is definitely worth it. And it's that same thing like I said before, you gotta kill all 6 members of Flashbacks at the same time if you want to cap this point, because the stall potential is insane.
Yeah, it does, but now Koala Kings, they want to make an entire comp switch, going on to this form of kind of shadow dive. They're immediately putting pressure onto Anguish, who's just barely going to be able to escape after picking off Spongy Cheese. As the barrage using it point blank onto Kemi, just denying it. Amazing pole spawn is going to shut down Red Knight, and it looks like the rest of Koala Kings really only have 1 fight left, but maybe less.
I think the Tracer can touch. They took that fight a little bit too sloppily. There is the touch and the pulse bomb. Let's see how this fight plays out.
And it's going to be really messy because Bungie is going down so early, and they're relying on Jeffbot to kind of sustain himself until the rest can arrive. As they're going out, they're able to focus down Potato being hacked before he can move in. Red Knight's not going to get any type of heal. Smoke going in, just trying to find where the rest of the enemy team are, as they're being able to shut down the healing side of Koala Kings. They may be able to take down Anguish, but there are still no mines on the point. Looks like it's not coming down fast enough. The track being able to pull out that pulse bomb combined with the sound barrier manages to get hacked, but there's really only less people on the point comparably on the side of Koala Kings, as no one is there left, and it seems Flashbacks, they're going to be taking the lead when it comes to the series.
That comp switch from Koala Kings was a great idea, but I think it came out a little bit too late. Partially because of how long Flashbacks was able to stall that second fight. they kind of screwed themselves over by continuing to try to turn that point over, and they weren't able to switch in time or build any ultimates on that comp switch. And I think that was what ultimately cost them the map.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. Knowing how Koala Kings play, they really are a type of team that I don't think they've ever really tried to give up a point at times. They often, have the mentality of we're not done until we use every ult in our ult bank, and that's one of their biggest weaknesses. I think flashbacks on passiveness have just helped them be able to shut this down and give them the advantage when it came to those 2 points. Those were the 2 ideas that separated them between Koala Kings.
I mean, like we said, these teams know a lot about each other, and I think they both have that kind of king mentality where every fight is winnable, and they're not going to give up until it's over. But just on this one occasion, it ended up biting Koala Kings in the butt.
Yeah, I still don't think that's somewhat enough to kind of get an idea. I feel Control has always just been one of those maps as a great warm-up. Flashbacks is going to be playing off of that momentum, but I want to see how Koala Kings fights back. They definitely now know what Flashbacks are kind of running. They have a feeling for them now, so it's definitely possible for Koala Kings to even up their rivalry. But I feel Flashbacks, they played really well, and specifically I wanted to point out the kind of combination between their main tank and their DPS. I feel they were doing amazing when focusing down targets and diving.
Yeah, Smoke and Diffract are comboing very well on that ball tracer. If they continue to play that, I think that'll be a threat that Koala Kings will be forced to deal with. But also, he could play the monkey and do pretty much the same thing. We know that neither of these teams really have any one-tricks, which makes it very fun to watch because they can play any composition, and both of them like to pull out the mid-map adaptations. So I think it's just going to be kind of who can out-adapt and out-mind game each other to decide this series.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but I still want to watch out for specifically Spongy Cheese. I feel like he's still kind of, at least last season, he was very much a star-out player. He was one of those very consistent DPSs where you put him on the Kree, and he's just able to hit those shots. But right now, at least where we are in Overwatch, it's not really hit scan meta. And I don't feel that having Spongy Cheese weakens the team, but I feel that they're trying to run different variations or not force him on a hero that's just not comparably as good. We didn't see him try to go an Ashe at any time or a Kree. He really tried to focus on being really just that Symmetra or Reaper because it's just better in close quarters. And I think Flashbacks are kind of abusing that because I think at least they're not focusing on running hit scans or anything. They're focusing on running what they're good, which was what we saw with like Symmetra, Pharah, Tracer, things like that.
We saw Koala Kings bust out the double hit scans to overtake Palm Beach Poggers Pharah in the semifinals. So I do think that they have that in their pocket, although I believe Sergeant Pepper was there for that match instead of Spongy Cheese. So we'll have to see. But I think Spongy Cheese has got a deep enough hero pool to figure things out. I think they just went for the decision of trying to win the ground war rather than take out the Pharah.
Yeah, it's like continuously running your head into a wall trying to hit a fly that isn't there anymore. You're kind of just sacrificing things out, and we are going to be getting a couple switches, or more like a switch, as Sergeant Peppers is coming in for Spongy Cheese, the man reference in name, on Volskaya. Oh boy, I really like this map.
Volskaya is definitely my favorite out of the 2 CP maps as well. There's options for ball, there's options for monkey, there's options for double shield on defense particularly. Do we know which team is defending first yet? I don't believe we do.
Not yet, at least in the slightest, as Navino's also going to be bringing in V for Red, which is a new contender for the Marsupial team. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see how they mix in. I do know Red Knight at least has been working with them very closely, or at least in different divisions and tiers, was on Mob Mentality beforehand. So seeing him kind of in this more support role while he's trying to enable his team to play was definitely something new, I'd have to say.
Yeah, V is a new face to Tranquility, so I'm excited to see what she can do. She's got some pretty big shoes to fill being on this championship roster.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing the same sides, though. Looks like Flashbacks really don't have anything to worry about too much. But just like you said, Volskaya is a map of it's like an all-you-eat buffet. You know, you can go get one type of thing, but ooh, you see something nice, you could try different things, specifically being in compositions. But I don't ever think Volskaya, at least in the meta that we're in right now, has a set space for a meta.
No, it definitely does not. You can definitely swing towards your team preferences when you're deciding compositions on this map. The only one I would not really like that much is any Reinhardt rush style comps.
This is Koala Kings we're talking about. Have you ever seen them not actively run a Reinhardt style composition?
Jeffbot's Monkey is great too. I mean, he's definitely capable
agree.
of playing all the main tanks.
Hey, I fully agree, especially with having Nev on your team. If you're running dive, then you're going to basically be improving off of it during every fight. That man knows how to just continuously talk and kind of force his team to listen, to where I think that they can help kind of in any scenario kind of win that out. So when going into this map, both of these teams are going to want to try something. We really only have to pay attention to Flashbacks because they're on the defending side for at least right now. Koala Kings looking like they want to form a shadow dive. However, I really like Flashbacks' composition.
Yeah, the poke double shield with that Pharah is a brutal composition to try to push into. We'll have to see if Koala Kings will make any adjustments on their attack coming in. Perhaps something like an Echo, which can off-angle on that Orisa and still poke out the Pharah, is an option I'm thinking of. Or they could really just, again, try to win that ground war, hack the D.Va and blow up the Orisa, and clean up the fight from there. Let's see how they want to play this out.
I'm going to let you know this now. If I was going up against Flashback, I would be so frustrated because this composition is so good at getting an early pick and shutting the team fight down before it can even start. Especially with such a squishy composition, it may be fast having V on the Lucio. Look how much damage they're immediately taking in. They see the rotation, and Flashbacks are just going to decide to give it a little breath as the Koala Kings want to try to get up to this high ground.
That's a very disciplined, very quick rotation from Flashbacks. I like it.
Oh,
purely pick right there.
You're not going to like that if you're Jeff Bot. You need a bit more healing, and it looks like they are going to be able to take out the Monkey, and then eventually the Vino V, they're not going to be able to survive for too much longer, so now Koala Kings are just stuck, kind of just needing the enemy team to kill them.
Yep, just a issue of getting the first pick and winning out the fight. They're going to stall out Kemi here, which has got to be also frustrating.
Oh,
I mean, he had some remake kills in the past, but not his day for that, unfortunately.
it's toxic. Kemi also has the best, away skin within the Overwatch League, so it's just kind of an even more disrespect to see it happen. But I wonder what Koala Kings need to do. I feel like no matter what rotation they take, they're taking a long one.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to reach the Flashbacks because no matter if you go up to the right or the left, the Flashbacks will have time to switch to that other side. So they're going to try to the left now, but Try has this barrage. Could potentially use it early on their rotation. But he's deciding not to.
It can be nasty. I think he's giving them a tiny bit of respect. Sergeant Pepper is still invisible, so you have room. While Jetbot tries to engage, it is going to be moved back a bit. However, Navino's going to be the first one to get a pick. The Coalescent managing to pick out Faye, and that barrage is just going to be shut down because Sergeant Pepper is there to pick them off. One tick on the point while the rest of Flashbacks are trying to do the best they can to kind of even this out. But there's really only the D.Va left, and with that bomb, you don't want to waste it to rematch when there's no longer a fight there. Sure, you have the window out, but there's nothing left you can try to follow up on, as Koala is going to be able to take out the first point.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that window there. I hope that means that they're planning for a switch. The fight looked good for Flashbacks at first. They booped the monkey off the high ground, but Navino, with an excellent teleportation into their backline, was able to pick off Anguish and wreak havoc.
Yeah, it's what happens when you play Reaper. You just can kind of walk into people, boom, boom, they're dead. There's just nothing you can do against that. But something you can't do against is Sergeant Pepper's EMP. They are playing so patient, and that's a really early bongo.
Juicer is scouting for him, but I don't know if he'll catch him. I think they're going to wait with this bongo and try to snowball with an EMP.
Yeah, they know where Sergeant Pepper is, and now Sergeant Pepper has to kind of relocate while they're looking to poke. Amazing find out from Anguish. But now, Koala Kings are forced playing in this spot until their Sombra arrives. They're just going to be receiving so much poke until then.
I don't think it's that bad for them, though, because Flashbacks can't really go to Koala Kings. Here comes the EMP bomb, though.
Look at that, able to hit 3 of the bombs out. It's going to be giving them control of the point. Smoke going to be killed by the remake ability. That's painful as the rest of Flashbacks are trying to help things out. Anguish and Try being able to find out both Jetbot and Navino, which are big contenders, but the supports are still alive. Sergeant Pepper's mech is going to be going down as a tick hasn't arrived for their point, and it looks like Try is going to be able to shut down Koala King's very coordinated engage.
That off angle from Anguish, I think, really saved that fight there. Being at the back high ground where they wouldn't really expect, because that's normally where the attack pushes in from, Gave him such a good sightline on the point to clean up the members of the Koala Kings while they were trying to push onto the tanks.
Yeah, I'd also have to say, just kind of, their Koala King's kind of quickness to use their ultimates kind of forced them out. They didn't really plan things out, they just threw it, hoping it would happen. So now Try get attacked when they were about to barrage. That's not looking good. The Coalescence is going to be making sure that Try doesn't get room to play. However, Sergeant Pepper is going to be found out, but the Mech Navino is going to be getting a taste of his own medicine from last season, and the rest of Koala Kings are just going to be kind of reset, going back to their spawn room.
I believe that's both tanks with or both off tanks, excuse me, with a remech kill now. And that's what's really exciting to me about this matchup right now is Kemi versus Schuster. These are both very, very good off tanks. Kemi a little bit more aggressive than Schuster is, but I'm really liking this off tank matchup so far.
I definitely agree. They seem fairly even. It's all about how the DPS are kind of helping things. As we see Navino engage, Jeffbot's going to be giving him a lot of cover, and now there are so many ultimates on the side of Flashbacks. They can basically take this fight any way they want. They're going to be ending out finding Jeffbot first, and now the barrage being placed solely as cleanup, most of it being in as Navino's using the Death Blossom, able to find out Anguish and Smoke, and it looks like Faye's not going to be able to survive. Now they're looking to get the ticks onto the point. Navino forcing Potato off of the high ground, but he's going to be able to jump back up. Baptiste has the Tims, he's perfectly fine, and it looks like Try's going to be going down on their own. The EMP making sure to find someone out. Wow, Bob goes out. They do get the tick, however, Gag has been eliminated. The Bungo pushing in the extra damage that they're looking for. It seems that the Bob's going to be the true hero of this game, as he's eventually going to be found out. Same with Jeffbot, and there's just nothing Koala Kings can do on this guy.
I like that EMP. I think it came out just a little bit too early, though. There weren't too many people on the point to hack. If he waited a little bit longer, he would have hacked Bob and the Bongo. And I think Koala Kings could have cleaned up that fight. Now they are making a wholesale comp switch. Let's see what Sergeant Pepper lands on. But it looks like they're switching to a Pope. Oh, they're switching to the Pharah of their own. And on the meantime, Try has switched off of Pharah to the Echo. And Sergeant they're going back and forth between Pharah and Echo. They can't decide which flyer they want.
I think they're just looking to see which can do well. They know that Try is on the Echo, so it's kind of just how do you play around that. The Echo sometimes can beat out the Pharah, and it's just going to be taking a long gauge. However, Koala Kings, they need to work off this time bank. They managed to find out Anguish. That's the moment they need to move in. However, the Rez has brought this back to a 6v6 scenario, so there's not really much that Koala Kings can do besides from, again, try to find out that first pick, going on the flank, being able to start getting in some major damage, but they're still taking their time.
Yeah, I don't mind pushing this. You're only going to get one good fight anyways, so you might as well build up as many ults as possible on the way. As long as you don't lose anybody while you're doing it.
Yeah, it looks like
There's
Potato.
two big picks right there.
Smoke, Potato, fight! They're gonna be going down really early in this fight. That Diva Bomb from Choser's there, but the Arista Shield's gonna be making sure that most of the damage is blocked out. They're placing that window, putting in that extra damage, hitting out with the second pick. The Diva being forced to touch, same with the ball, looking to just heal up their team on the side of Koala Kings as they're being able to finish Choser Anguish. They don't really have many ultimates to defend themselves, as Potato has used the window, but the Dragons is there to pull in that major damage, and it looks like they're just not gonna be able to do much as Koala Kings patiently manages to get this tick. And they're going to be finishing out Volskaya with no time bank, so still a sizable win condition for the side of Flashbacks.
Yeah, there's definitely potential for them to be able to cap first point and snowball. That slow fight from the Koala Kings with that comp switch ended up paying off for them. Really glad they didn't keep forcing the same thing, and that's what I talked about earlier, you know, that adaptability from both teams. We know Koala Kings can do it, we know Flashbacks can do it. And on these attacks, I'm expecting a lot of comp switches and similar things.
Yeah, I still feel like Koala Kings hasn't fully adjusted to the style that Flashbacks really are running. I feel like it's still somewhat of an even trade, or at least Flashbacks kind of, they benefit off the way Koala Kings wants to play. But yet Koala Kings, when they started playing to their style, I think they kind of struggled a tiny bit.
Yeah, that aggression was killing them because Flashbacks was very disciplined in that disengage, defensive, and then re-engage style. Koala Kings are a lot more aggressive, while the players on Flashbacks are a lot more defensive. And so, I think Koala Kings either have to dial up the aggression from a 12 to a 15, if that's even possible, or to just take it down, play these fights slow, and make sure they don't die while they're overcommitting.
Yeah,
Koala Kings are going to be playing a Pharah dive on the defense, which is interesting. Well, Flashbacks, I'm assuming they're not playing. There it is. There's the ball
No.
switch.
They like to give us little heart attacks, you know, thinking that we're going to be seeing something crazy.
Oh god, that Roadhog.
I know, my heart dropped as well. But I think the Pharah dive works somewhat well against this. I mean, it's going to be able to take out Potato, but I think you really have to watch that Pharah v Pharah. That's what you're looking out for. Potato and Gag are going to be going out, so both supports are being traded, and it's up for them to kind of wait out. Yet Faye is going to be the one taken early. Same with the mech, so Flashbacks can't really engage again.
The big difference, though, that I'm looking at between these compositions is the Wrecking Ball versus the Winston and the Tracer versus the Hanzo, right? Otherwise, oh, and the Zen versus the Ana. Flashbacks are wanting to play these fights a little bit faster. Unlike their defense, they're going for a faster fight, burn them with Discord and with Pile Drive, whereas Koala Kings are, you know, using that Ana Monkey, playing slower and playing to live. It's an interesting way how their styles have completely flipped now that they've switched between attack and defense as well.
I definitely agree. People always try to make memes on Navino being a bad DPS, but he's so far doing really well, at least being able to pick out Anguish, which is so frustrating when you just get that little sneaky hit, the Hanzo arrow being able to take out a Tracer, especially if it's a headshot. So now when they're going into this poke phase, Anguish is going to be getting the first pick onto Navino, the remake for Cammy, so it's still somewhat of a fair fight. Yet without that Hunter, they're not having a consistent amount of damage as they're moving in. That red's going to be bubbled out. However, Deathbot's not going to have that healing to save himself. Try just going to be making sure that B not being able to help out their team, and the rest of Koala Kings are now going to be hoping to look for a stronger hold on second point.
That was a big pile drive from Smoke. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You get the pile drive, you get the Discord, and you get the fire direct. That's a great team wipe.
Yeah, definitely agree. So when it comes to this next point, I don't know how well Koala Kings want to be sticking onto this composition. I feel like it works, but you set your team up once more. I'm definitely thinking this Wrecking Ball has more opportunities to kind of shut down the rest of the backline, comparably so than Jeffbot can do for his team. As they just make me seem wrong, they're going to be placing the mines on the point, shutting down Potato as the Tracer's on the flank. Going to be looking out for the Hanzo, but the healing's there. Looks like Gag's going to be the first one going down on the side of Koala Kings, as Navino's going to be able to win that 1v1 against Anguish, and that tick is still there. Looks like Navino's going to be able to find it, throwing out the Dragons, but immediately gets handled. The Smoke just gets a tiny boop in. No mind, it still goes out, but it's a little bit delayed. The mech going out, they still have some form of advantage as Flashbacks has about 4 people on the point. They're coming back with the bar on the side of Koala Kings. Nano monkeying in, hopefully just committing in that damage, builds up that barrage. Going to be able to place down a bubble, shut down, try, just nothing you can do. Now that Transcendence for the side of Flashbacks is going to make sure that they stay in the fight while B reses up Sergeant Pepper. There's not much left they can do besides from hide from the Diva Bomb, and it looks like both of the teams going to be trading mercies, yet Kemi's going to be the one getting Potato with the rematch, as Koala Kings just barely saves this on 2 ticks.
Yeah, the respawns really came in and helped them. Flashbacks ulting early when they got to that second point was what gave them those first 2 ticks. Whereas Koala Kings used their ultimates for the retake and ended up saving them just a little bit. I would have liked to just see those ultimates come out early so that they wouldn't have needed to give up 2 ticks. And also, Flashbacks have made a full comp switch heading over to the Make Free Brawl.
Didn't you say that this is the one competition you shouldn't run?
I don't mind if you really just only need 1 tick on second. I really hate it on first. On second, it's okay, and they're just playing to win 1 fight. It's not the worst thing, but I kind of like what they were running before.
And they hit out with the anti, then the barrage, and it looks like they're not going to be getting any form of defensive abilities, as the rest of Flashbacks are just picked off one by one.
Yeah, Flashbacks had no chance of winning that fight anyways, though, just because they made their switch and they didn't have any ultimates. The problem was that this fight went too quickly and they weren't able to build up any of those ultimates. But they still do have 3 minutes on the time bank to continue working those up. And on the side of the Koala Kings, there are no ultimates left.
It's not really something really big to worry about. I feel like even if you build up to 6 ults or a Stride's building up to that Blizzard, you have a lot of room to play this game, but they're still going to be taking an insane amount of poke damage while they're trying to get onto the point.
I am curious if we are going to see a Nano Visor this fight, because those are the ultimates coming up from Koala Kings.
I don't really see
Or they might not even need it.
Yeah, they pick out Try and Anguish Faye back on the outskirts, and it's just a bit unfortunate. I feel like this damage boosted Pharah is putting so much damage in, there's just not much Potato can do besides from just saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's really more on Schuster than it is on Potato to control this Pharah. Even Anguish can't really get good sightlines. So Schuster really needs to shut this far down. They want to be able to even get to the point where they can start building up their ultimates.
Yeah, they're deciding to take a whole different rotation, but it looks like the Pharah is ready, kind of getting ready to drop it, is looking for the Diva, the DM, as they fight in these outskirts. That immortality is going to be going down, as Potato stuck on the high ground is going to be picked out, which has been isolated from the rest of the team, as the Monkey is just looking to inside the backline. The Blizzard gets used, and it's gonna freeze the Monkey off of the map as Shows able to find out Demi. That's absolutely beautiful. This now evens up the fight in favor for them. However, the bar is still there, combined with Magino's visor. That's gonna be shutting down the rest of the side of Flashback. They don't even have a stall to try this out.
I mean, that Blizzard isn't something you see every day. Flashbacks did only use the Blizzard and that feat, so they are coming in with 4 ultimates. They forced out Nano, Primal, and Visor, but they did rebuild another barrage. I think it's going to come down to this barrage. If Sgt. Pepper gets a big barrage behind Schuster's back, it's going to win them the fight and the map. But if Schuster can eat up this barrage, I think Flashbacks have a pretty good shot using the rest of their ults at this point.
Not only do they need to deny Flashback from using their ults, but they need to play around them, and I feel like that's the hardest part in Overwatch. Ultimates are so powerful that look at all this initial poke coming in, they just have to look for an opportunity to just pick one off and win off of that fight. It's 30 seconds, there is no recontinue. The Shatter's going in, combined with the window. The barrage is being bubbled perfectly safe, and they're able to find 3 with it. While that D-Bomb from Chooser is trying to even things, it's not going to be having much. Sgt. Pepper, he's looking, he's on the yellow submarine, and he's making sure that nobody can really touch the point. So it's really less than 20 seconds left to try to get this stall out.
Yeah, while they were pushing in, Sgt. Pepper repositioned and stopped shooting. And I think Schuster did not really know where he was when he dropped down above them and hit that massive barrage. Now they're in last fight territory.
They're putting pressure on the ball, but nobody,
they don't even get to touch.
Nobody can touch us. Koala Kings, they're going to be winning Volskaya, bringing the momentum back in their favor, but still tying up this series.
Like we said, the series is going to be back and forth. A lot of adaptations from both teams. Unfortunately, the adaptation that Flashbacks tried this map did not work. I expect them to note that down, and I think we're going to see a different adaptation for the next map. Very excited to see how this continues to go back and forth.
I think the best thing, the best idea that I want to say that kind of separates both of these teams is the idea of engagement. Koala Kings are very much I'm going to engage in you first, I'm going to see how you react, and we'll win based off that. While Flashbacks are, we're going to let you engage, and we're going to react based off that. That's at least what I've been seeing, because on the attack, they've been struggling to kind of make their way to it, while the Koala Kings, while getting a bit of trouble, they still stay calm, and they seem to understand what they want to do.
That's going to come down to like what side of the map you're on, right? For the Koala Kings, being on defense, weirdly enough, kind of gives them them advantage, because then they control the map, they can control when they want to ult, and they can play more aggressively. That's why we saw them struggle on their attack, but excel on their defense, I think. So I think that's going to be a continuing pattern for the rest of the series, you know?
I definitely agree, but with both teams kind of tied up, I think this leaves room still for any form of upset, bringbacks, as we just kind of get a moment to breathe and we get ready to see what they end up doing next.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to keep going back and forth and we're going to end up seeing a map 5, or if one team is going to kind of figure it out and then we'll end this with a 3-1. I'm very excited to see how the rest of the match plays out.
Yep, so stay tuned as we come back from halftime. I really hope you didn't miss us for too long, as I am back. Same with Apathy, as we are here to continue casting an even game so far between Koala Kings and Flashbacks. And so far, it's been a pretty fun match to be watching.
Yeah, it's been very back and forth. All of the fights have been just the right amount of sloppy, if you ask me. Not too all over the place, but not too perfect. Makes it very entertaining.
Definitely agree. We're going out onto Blizzard World for our next map. Fairly different, a different style that you want to play. I think it has a lot of opportunities, but before I let you kind of go in and kind of dissect it a little bit, I do want to let you guys know that we are going to be seeing Sergeant Pepper in for Spongy, as, wait, no, wrong person, sorry, as we're going to be seeing Distract coming in for Anguish, Red in for V, and Spongy in for Navino, so different changes.
This is really interesting. Both captains have pulled themselves out for this map. Navino and Anguish. Or not, well, maybe not pulled themselves out, but both captains are on the bench this map, which very interesting.
Yeah. What is it? I think this is because specifically Spongy and Sergeant Peppers, they at least have a lot of experience coming together and playing on a team. Specifically, they play on a team called Wisdom Academy within League Zero, so they have a lot of synergy and they work amazing together. Also, on a side note, thank you everyone so far for donating. You can always kind of donate, as you can see the little bar down below if you're interested.
Yes, the Rain Foundation is a great cause. Make sure you type !donate in the chat if you want to do so.
Oh, it's always great for a good cause, but speaking of good causes, a good cause to be able to win this map is what, in your opinion?
This one is a lot like Volskaya, except the brawl is actually okay. You can run dive, and I'm actually starting to wonder if the Sergeant Pepper Spongy Cheese is to bring out a Soldier McCree composition, which we saw Navino play against Palm Beach Poggers, but I believe Spongy was not there for that map. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to bring out a double hit scan to deal with this Pharah. But Flashbacks are on the defense first, so I believe there's a pretty high chance that I think we'll see that Orisa Diva poke play to live comp again. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I was going to
Koala
say...
Kings are rolling out on the 6-man for the attack.
Ooh, I was going to say, I really like the composition, at least the way I've been seeing them play. It works very well. I feel like it has they have a lot of synergy with it, even if they're switching try for the Echo. But Koala Kings seem to want to be playing around this, or at least some form of expected, because their entire composition is set up to dive one person, hack any other person, and shut down their entire composition. So they really can ignore the shield.
Yeah, and I actually like the Echo more because Flashbacks are not running the Mercy. So they didn't have that damage boost and that constant pocket for the Pharah, and Echo loans itself to being a little bit more independent. You still want to give her the packs, but not quite as needy as Pharah is.
As we see them prepare, I thought you could break those balloons, as it's just
I believe that is client side.
Oh, that's kind of annoying. I just wish we could see it. But look at this, Koala King's making a beautiful rotation. No juke rotation. Looks like they're just wanting to bait them out as they're immediately going in, looking for an advantage. That bubble, as we see Jeffbot immediately have to drop down the points. All about Flashbacks being the engager someone as they need a pick, or they need someone to touch down on point. Jeffbot still adding on that pressure. It's going to be immediately melted down by the combinations of an Echo and Ash. Making sure to find everyone else on the point. Sure, they've got it. They've lost everything else. Losing that main team is going to be big, and they don't have any ultimates to try to even things out. For the rest of Flashbacks, they're going to not only use the Immortality, but the Orisa as a way to drop on point, and they're just going to clean up the rest of the fight.
Yeah, against the Brick Echo, jumping without your Diva is just a death sentence. I would have liked to just see them hang out on that point and slow play that fight just a little bit longer. Wait for Flashbacks to jump down onto them and hack and burn that target.
Yep.
See if they can do that this fight.
Spongy's just also switching on to a Reaper, definitely wanting to just kind of go in and hit W more, but I don't know, I think I preferred the Tracer a little bit. I feel like you just had a bit more annoyance to Flashbacks.
I prefer the Tracer as well. I think they're just trying to really burn down the Diva and the Orisa with this
Look how much
switch.
Look how much damage they did. Potato almost went down, manages to build up the rally, gets the copy, and they're looking to put some damage in as they take out Jeffbot immediately. That hack's going in, but it's not really going to be able to do much because the Coalescence is really the only ultimate they're going to want to invest. And it's really the last thing we're going to have in this fight.
Yeah, that Echo is a great pick, already paying dividends over the Pharah. You see that duplication built in the first fight, popping it immediately to give their team that extra peel, that extra sustain with the D.Va, and win that fight there. However, Koala Kings are coming up to an EMP. They don't have a Coalescence or a Death Blossom to combo with this, but they do have a bomb. So I wonder if there's potential for an EMP bomb to come out here. And because Flashbacks are playing so close together, unless Faye hits a hero play and dashes the Sombra out of EMP, there's potential to hit 4 or 5 people easily.
Also, a little mechanical thing is managing to hit out a Primal, but it looks like that bomb is going to be able to take out not only the Brig, but it's going to be forcing everyone off the point. Jeffbot's just looking to boot people off the map, not having the mechanical skills, sadly enough, but they're going to be fighting on the point using that window. But the EMP used very late in the fight is actually going to be the most impactful ability. Just hacks everybody there. That Bongo, which is nothing in comparison.
I really like that late fight EMP, but they also invested the sound barrier on top of that. That's not an ultimate that you want to see used when you've already pretty much won the fight. So, and Defract is using the Bob very early as well. They're already into next fight. Koala Kings is taking the fight to them in Flashback spawn, basically.
They hacked the bomb, so that's a bit unfortunate, and they don't manage to get Kemi smacked. However, on the bright side, they only really lost one person, so there's not much to worry about. They just want to build up ultimates as fast as they can.
Yeah, and I believe they traded for Faye. Yeah, there he is, coming back from spawn right now.
I believe in you, Faye. But now this is where we see these teams needing to hunker down on the payload, but get ready for an engagement. Spongy Cheese Death Blossom is a massive win condition, but they're all just sitting up high. They're not worried about anything, and they eventually find Spongy Cheese, so she's not able to deny the boat. The Coalescence instantly enabling them pushing in, and Potato's not going to be popping out that immortality fast enough. They're still being able to put enough damage to shut down Red Knight, just continuously walking into them and using that rally as a self-sustainer, managing to find out Jeffbot in the end of that fight.
That was a really good mid-fight rally from Faye. There was potential that they could have lost that fight with their Baptiste going down if he hadn't done so. And now Flashbacks also have another ultimate advantage. I'm really hoping that Spongy Cheese does not Death Blossom this fight. I'd like to see the EMP Death Blossom combo rather than a naked Death Blossom followed by a naked EMP.
It's a little based.
They can get ult out from Flashbacks this fight without using any of their own. They should have a big advantage in the following fight.
On the bright side, they were able to get Jeffbot out really early in that fight, so there's nothing too big to worry about. But I don't know, I think the Death Blossom really naked can kind of help out, but Faye's there, so there's not really much you can do because the Brig's going to be saving their bash specifically for that.
Yeah, there's a Brig and a D.Va to pretty much really hard negate that Death Blossom. Unless he gets it very late in the fight, in the middle of chaos, it's going to be hard to pull it off.
Now, luckily, they do get the hack on the Potato, and they're going to be solo ulting. That's rude. But Shoulder comes in with a vengeance, managing to find not only the main tank, but the support. The Bob there, combined with the copy, is going to make sure that there's really nothing left. Sure, the Reaper manages to find out Faye, but they don't have anyone else to kind of follow up on.
Personality duplication complete.
Triangle did pop the duplication as well, so they've used almost all of their ults other than the amplification matrix. Now you can use that to build other ults, but here we are again, that situation where you just have the naked EMP, which while EMP is one of the best ults in the game, I'd really like to see it invested with something else just to really be positive that you secure that fight. I think two ultimates, the EMP and something else, is a very good investment.
Oh, but a 6-man EMP. It's absolutely insane. And yet there's not much follow-up on it. They're not able to do much. Red Knight has the solo barrier to save themselves. And now they're all stuck in the tiny corridor where this composition works well, and that payload still barely moved, and yet that EMP had no value for being so big. Faye also being able to build up that rally's going to be able to secure them when it comes to damage, as we see that Coalescence come out. They've already lost their D.Va, and this damage really is just kind of baby steps as they're just looking to contest this as much as possible. Deathbot coming close up to the Primal Rage, himself in. However, the immediately melted down from that beam. Does a little bit too much damage. Spongy Cheese looking to find anyone out. He has the Death Blossom comboing it with the Diva Bomb's gonna be able to find two, but it still gets traded in with the two, and they don't really have anyone else to try to help them out because Gag's now gone. The Bob is there, combined with the Bomb, is gonna be a little bit too much damage for the rest of Koala Kings to try to even things out. And it looks like it's gonna have to be Patting Choser on their back as they save the point, stopping this directly before it caps in the second area.
I mean, that was exactly what I talked about, right? They hit a massive 6-man EMP, but they had no ultimates to follow up with it. Just the natural abilities were unfortunately not enough to secure that fight. And Flashbacks took the long fight, built more of their ultimates. Schuster with a great Diva Bomb to save the point, and they ended up holding it just at the edge of the first point. Of the second point, excuse me.
As a ally of the Koala Kings, I don't respect Choster for how good they played, but as a fan, I gotta say, my goodness, that is such an amazing way to save the point. I definitely thought once they got that Death Blossom out, it was kind of in Koala Kings' favor because it was still somewhat of an even fight, even if that spawn point is back. But now Koala Kings are in a very difficult situation because I think it's really easy to kind of win through that streets phase when you have an objective in mind.
Yeah, although they could really commit to going for a first point hold, potentially. They could really try to rally around that idea of just full holding the map instead and forget about all of second. They're coming out with a Sombra Ash Poke Dive hybrid composition, whereas Flashbacks look like they're running the Brawl. I'm expecting a little bit of insider knowledge. I know that Flashbacks likes to wrap all the way around to second point and then head up that back high ground where the canoe is. I think they're going to do that again.
I have no reason not to believe you, but I think Koala Kings have a very good composition playing around it. It's basically what they ran on Volskaya for a little bit, and it looks like Flashbacks, they're just going to say, nope, we're not doing this again. We're switching. We're done.
Yep, they don't want to deal with that Pharah.
Gotta give some love and respect on understanding what they need to do against it. I do think having the Zenyatta break is somewhat of an unfortunate situation, but it really doesn't matter too much because your entire composition is not centered around getting that healing. It's rotation, and yet Faye's still going to be the first one going down. That hurts.
I think they're making the choice more to ignore the Pharah and again try to win that ground war with the Discord Orb and the Sombra Tracer dive. And even though they lose their Brig early on, again, they can still fight. These ball compositions can take fights down 2, 3, 4 sometimes members, just because of how survivable every other member is.
I think the best part is that they hack Red Knight, they're able to take them down. And Deathbot's coming very late into this fight. Sgt. Pepper doesn't have any healing. They grab that little healing pack so that Diva's able to put in so much poke that he's trying to go so far away to where they do no damage. But there's nothing left because Spongy Cheese and the rest of their team is just going to be picked off by the time Deathbot gets in. And at this point, it's just ult charge.
Yeah, and Golden Apple Guy had no choice but to turn his back to the dive to try to heal that far up, because that was their only win condition. And unfortunately, the rest of the team just got torn apart while he was doing so.
Yeah, I think the hard part now comes in because Spongy Cheese on the crate, but they have EMP. They built that off of a first fight, so that is absolutely amazing because now they can basically save it for as long as they want and be able to win Streets phase because of it.
Yeah, and now that they're on a different comp, this comp can kind of use the naked EMP a lot better because the Tracer can blink in easier than like the Reaper can raid them, you know? So they have a little bit more follow-up on a massive EMP like this one.
Able
See
to
if they can get any picks.
Able to get Core off of it, not only finds Red Knight, but manages to find Jethbot on the Monkey. Now they're looking to do their best. This spawn point is still really close, and Kemi has the bomb, but they're able to find Spongy Cheese late, so they're slowly going to be coming in one by one. Jag isn't able to get the nano out fast enough as they get picked off, and this payload is about halfway through.
Yeah, they're investing more ults to try to stall out this fight.
Yeah, we even see the Primal Rage manages to take out the Brigida, which is really good, but the hack goes on to the Monkey. Jethbot's not going to be able to try to escape from that fight's a bit unfortunate. The payload's very close, and they now have Transcendence to save themselves. It's going to be popping it, hopefully just trying to enable their team. Thus, Mind is stopping anyone from Koala King from coming back in, but the Demon Bomb place is going to be popping out, really only making some space. Not going to be having much. Spongy Cheese now hacked, not going to be able to get much hand behind it, but it's not going to be able to punch it out. We now see Kenley managing to get the Nano, looking to help out the team, but it isn't really able to find a single target to focus on. They're also split. Probably looking to hack out the Monkey, able to build up another EMP, managing to hack both of the tanks. Sure, Faye goes down, but you're not really worried about your Brig being gone because the payload's continuously moving. They're able to hack out Sergeant Pepper, and there is really only the Mortar to touch, but there is nothing less you can do. As we see, it wasn't a Mortar, it was an Ana, as Flashbacks, pretty convincing to kind of win that off, now knowing how to play.
Koala Kings were able to stall that out for a while based off their spawn advantage, but they weren't able to get enough picks to turn that fight around. I really like... I don't know how I feel about Nino coming out. We didn't really see that mid-fight adjustment, right? They kept forcing the 6-man into Flashbacks' Orisa Diva composition, and I don't really think that 6-man Shadow Dive worked, and they didn't make the adjustments. I'm hoping to see their IGL come back in, and maybe they can turn it around for map 2.
I think,
or map 4, excuse me.
Yeah, fair enough, but I think while Spongy Cheese beats Navino mechanically, Navino 100% beats Spongy Cheese when it comes to comms, and I think Jeffbot, Gag, they're amazing calmers, but Navino is just such a staple within because he's so loud. He's a manager after all, he knows what he's doing, so he goes in with a purpose, and I think the rest of them kind of have to keep up that momentum, or you need someone to bring in that same energy. While Flashbacks, they seem to not really worry about switching someone off. I don't think they benefit off of it. It really just didn't affect them.
They lost a lot less from benching their captain, because I believe Chuster is their IGL over Anguish, whereas Navino, that loud man, is just so crucial to his team, regardless of his mechanics.
Yeah, definitely see. However, when it comes to the situation of a last map, this is kind of a question, because Flashbacks can definitely make this last map, like Koala Kings can 100% bring this into a map 5 scenario, but with the options and kind of situations that's been working off, they've been playing back and forth. And Flashbacks seem to work more off of the passive, while Koala Kings can't really play onto the aggression. So unless they decide to bring Navino in, I definitely think Flashbacks are going to be able to end this out very quickly on the next map.
We'll have to see what the map is, because Koala Kings did win their last map pick, and although their backs are against the wall, we know this team, they just reverse swept the Palm Beach Poggers. We know this team has the mental adversity to come back from being down. So I don't think you can quite count them out yet. I'm very excited to see what map they pick, because I think that will lend itself to who's going to have the advantage in this last fight.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I don't think it's adversity. I think it's more stubbornness when you have someone like their players on the team. I think they just sit there and they're like, we can't lose. We just beat them in the playoffs like last season ago. We're totally good at winning this. There is no reason we lose. So that's at least the way I see it. But
that is the blessing and the curse of the king.
100%. But what I kind of want to see come more out of Koala Kings, not only are they bringing Navino in for Spongy Cheese, but I want to see them play V more in. I think Red Knight's kind of good because he's very much a calmer, but I think he belongs in that main tank position rather than in the main support area. He seems to be kind of struggling to adjust to it, and I think V fits that area more. They're at least a bit more mechanically or positionally better in that area.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the positioning. V seems to be a little bit more used to playing main support. Red Knight, along with, I believe, Golden Apple Guy, are not playing their normal roles. They are off-rolling on this Koala Kings team, and Navino is off-rolling as well. So they've got quite a couple off-rollers on this team.
Yeah, it's not too different. So when we go to the map, it's really going to be an opportunity for them to play Rialto, try to see how this thing works out. Gag is normally a main support, but going on to the flex support, he does have experience, and I think Navino as well has experience on DPS. Sure, it's a meme, but it's there. So when it comes to Rialto, I don't see this working too well for the Koala Kings. It's traditionally, well, yes, a brawl map, double shield is still 100% viable, and that Pharah can just play those corners in the alleyways so perfectly.
I'd like to see them bring out the double bubble here. I think Winston into the Orisa. I think Flashbacks will continue playing the Orisa Diva. It's been working, and it's a good choice on this map. And so I'd really like to see, you can keep the Winston, but I'd like to see a more dive style than a rush style, switching to like the Ana and the Zarya and potentially the Echo, and just trying to create angles behind that Orisa shield and win with ultimates like your Nano and your Graviton Surge, things like that. We did see Koala Kings beat the Palm Beach Poggers in the semifinals on this map Rialto to take it to a map 5. So it's definitely something that they've done before, very fresh in their memories. But the Palm Beach Poggers did not really play too much of that Orisa style compositions.
Yeah, I think with Flashbacks subbing in Diffract for Anguish, I definitely think they're now ready to play that composition. I mean, you could prove me wrong. I think Anguish might fit a bit more for that.
Diffract is like their Tracer pure hit scan, and Anguish kind of flexes between hit scan and projectile sometimes. But if you're just looking for the raw aim on Widow, Tracer, or Ashe, Diffract is definitely Flashback star for that.
It's 100% fair, and now I think that we kind of have a sense of what they want to do. But Koala Kings, I 100% see them running out, not on a Shadow Dive per se. I don't feel they have the pure synergy for it, or I don't know how well Kemi's Zari is. They seem to specifically be playing Diva in these compositions, possibly preferring it. So I think what they might want to do is just run out on that dive with the Sombra, and you focus the hacks. You really just want to try to get in there and shut them down, as people tend to call it Shadow Dive.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they've been trying to do. So I think you definitely can keep the Diva in a Winston dive composition, but I would like to see more of that Echo Mercy Ana combination, because that will let you play these fights slower, which is what the issue that they're having. They're trying to take these fights too fast, and they're not able to win. But when you play something like the Echo and the Ana, you can take the fights a lot slower and use the Nano Winston, for example, to jump onto that Orisa Diva and just shred through that core. I think it is possible for Shadow Dive to beat the Orisa Diva composition. It's just a lot harder. I think there's easier options that are within their hero pools to make.
You know, you make a very fair point. However, I think with VN, they're now ready to try to run out with a Mercy. I think Red's biggest weakness is being able to play out that Mercy, especially when going into Rialto, because that's a very position-based map, especially when you're worrying about how people want to play the game, because they'll just end up running into you, and then you're just a little worried because that Mercy's just a little too close or a little too down to be hacked or to be shot down in the air. So it's a bit unfortunate, and I'm really hoping that V kind of makes that change that we're looking for within Koala Kings.
Yeah, V coming in opens up a little bit more of that Mercy play rather than the Lucio play. So I'm hoping that that's an option, but at the moment, they are just rolling out on a rush composition again. However, Flashbacks on the defense are not picking the Orisa composition this time. I wonder if they're going for a close hold.
I don't see why not. Close holds are so underrated, at least on Rialto. You don't really see it run in comp because it takes a lot of coordination to be able to run it. But when you are able to run it at a level and at its finest, you're able to hold fairly long, I think, for at least 2 fights when it comes to this push, rather than just 1 fight and hopefully a stall fight.
So here we go. I'm very excited to see the adaptations. I think Flashbacks, what are they going to adapt to after the close hold, and what is Koala Kings going to adapt to break this close hold?
Question is, how funny is it going to be to see them just charge in? Koala Kings now understand what's happening. They are going to be slightly hacking, split off. Gag may be gone, but smoke is done. However, the competition isn't going to retreat. Flashbacks want to take it till they're all gone. Davino looking to finish off Anguish, not going to be allowing him to escape freely. And the boot managed to find out try. That's a bit unfortunate. So now the rest of them are needing to retreat. Sure, Deathbot's gone again, but really, now staggered. So yeah, at least you get another chance to come back.
And then here's the comp switch for Flashback, switching over again to that all Sombra Tracer. They're going to keep the Diva and switch to a Brig or a Mercy here.
I definitely agree. I think the Brig works better. I also find it interesting that we are going to be seeing
Lucio.
Hey, it works for rotations, especially with the BAP. I also like how we're going to be seeing a Sombra v Sombra fight, which I think it's harder for Try to kind of get value off of it solely because they're all playing together and he has to really expose himself to get that advantage.
Smoke found the translocator. Let's see if that's going to make an impact this fight.
Yeah,
he's out of the fight while doing so.
They're able to get
they aren't really able to collapse on Sergeant Pepper for it. Unfortunately, it did not work out in their favor.
They get the hack gonna be shutting down Smoke a bit unfortunate as Shoster's mech went down so early and Sgt. Pepper is able to start getting the hack off. The rest of them are kind of just trying to stay on that point, slow things down.
It is crucial to find that translocator, but I don't really like camping it. It can be... Sombra's still very slippery, even when she teleports onto you. And she has her full team to support her if you try to break it and catch her out in the middle of the fight, and Smoke was out of the fight for so long.
You see the Diva Bomb oh my goodness, don't catch it on camera. Anguish, he's feeling a bit of anguish as he goes inside of his own post bomb. The Diva Bomb window being used, making sure to finish this out. And while they are able to stall for a tiny bit and the Vino gets kind of DPS difference against the Brig, Koala Kings are going to be able to capture this point.
Yeah, I'm curious how long they're going to keep this up. They've had the Sombra for 2 fights now, just now building the EMP. Koala Kings have their own EMP as well. I think this fight is going to come down to whichever EMP comes out first, although Flashbacks definitely have less follow-up available than the Koala Kings do with the rest of their ultimates. There's the ult from... Oh, no!
That was a fat finger. That 100% was a fat finger.
Yeah,
Sgt. Pepper was nowhere in
unfortunate.
And I think Sgt. Pepper might want to switch after this point. You don't really get to live off of that. You just feel embarrassed.
Yeah, I don't think he has a choice but to stay on. I wouldn't like to see him switch, especially against the ball.
But look on the bright side, Flashbacks are able to pop theirs out, managing to hit a 4 when it comes to it. Jeffbot is going to be peeled out from the sound barrier, but it's going to be able to finish off Choster. Unfortunately enough, that looks like the Death Blossom is going to be stunned out. Navino not going to be able to find anything with it, and the rest of Flashbacks are kind of wanting to back out. That Shatter combined with the window is going to be pumping in so much damage, especially with Jeffbot just moving into you. There's not really much you can do if you don't have a shield blocking it, and you're stuck in that one area.
Yeah, and that beat from V was absolutely crucial. I mean, Tribe managed to land that 4-man EMP, and the beat came out just as Koala Kings was falling low. Everybody had like 10 to 50 HP left, and the beat came in and saved all of them. An incredibly clutch play from V.
Oh, it's more than clutch. It's beautiful. However, we do see Anguish does come up on the Tommy. I think that's going to be a big goal. Combined with this rally, they're just moving in, trying to take the momentum. Wanting to stop the snowball. They find Jeff off, but the bomb's out, not finding much, as Anguish is able to just continue moving forward, able to not only find Cammy, but Navino and the rest of the Koala Kings are going to hope to try to take back the momentum.
Yeah, Flashbacks were finally able to stabilize and win a fight, but they did have to invest their duplication and both support ultimates into it. Now, Koala Kings don't have too many ults coming back, but they do have that crucial EMP. There's potential. I don't think. Never mind. You don't need the EMP shatter because Flashbacks have no shield. I think this one you could just go for a naked EMP.
I think it does work. It has a lot of room to play, but they shut down FaZe so early in the fight. You can just continue working with this without having to invest. Same with Anguish, they're not going to be having much. The Diva stuck inside the backline is going to be D-Mech, and they don't really want the Diva to kind of re-mech and end up killing someone while they're re-engaging, so they're just going to shut down Choster.
Yeah, there's no staggering while you're on attack, and now they still have this EMP, and they're playing in a tight room. This is looking deadly for the Flashbacks to try to stall out this last fight.
Yeah, luckily, Try is there. Oh,
we almost got hacked.
Unfortunately, it's not fast enough. Going to be managing to shut down the entirety of Koala Kings because not only does Navino go down, but Deathbot's going to be picked up. Vela was in a very close area. However, Try, Fate on their side, just a ping difference.
Yeah. These EMPs are coming out earlier for the Flashbacks, and that's how they're stabilizing on these fights. Hopefully Koala Kings can use that aggression. Sgt. Pepper needs to channel the rest of his team's aggression. Oh, there goes Smoke. That's an unfortunate pick.
That Diva Bomb being thrown out by Choster, trying to just make something happen. Trying to get the hack on Gad, but the sound barrier's there, evening things up. The hack also on Potato, so no transcendence. The EMP really was used just to kind of focus down the Zenyatta. The Diva's still there, looking to stall things out. Vino does have the Death Blossom he uses, so anyone trying to come back to the fight is going to be struggling. Smoke is looking to try to still engage back onto this point, as they almost managed to focus down Navino, but he's going to be barely surviving. Looks like the transcendence coming out just in time for the hack going onto Anguish. Yep, he's ready to use it, but it looks like Sgt. Pepper's going to be the one kind of killing them before Navino can use it.
Yeah, he doesn't even need it to cap this point. I believe so far every single time that we've seen an EMP, the team that EMPs has won the fight. So, especially on these fights that they have both, we really need to see one one of the teams using that EMP a little earlier, a little more aggressively, so that they can win the fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was in that scenario where they picked Sombra so late that they're building EMPs kind of off each other like every other fight. They're never EMPing at the same time because of that reasoning of they win so quickly. And that favors Koala Kings a lot more because they don't care if you kill them with an EMP. They immediately build up their own. Sgt. Pepper's building them consistently, so they're able to play off of it. And I feel like they work better when it comes to these Rhine compositions. I think if you want to play around it, maybe you run a Mei, you try to slow them down, don't let them have so much synergy. So when going on to this kind of attack, I wonder how Flashbacks wants to do this. Maybe now they want to bring up the Orisa and Pharah.
I don't really like the Orisa so much on attack. Definitely the Pharah is a very strong option. Koala Kings rolling out with the same thing they came against Palm Beach Poggers. I think they're also expecting a Pharah, and they're starting out on the double hit scan here.
Hey, I mean, like, at least you're trying to get those predictions, and Flashbacks are running out with the dive. I like this. I think this will work well. There is so much high ground. Sgt. Pepper may be able to escape really fast, but there's no mercy to damage in, so Sgt. Pepper's basically playing solo here.
Yeah, Flashbacks rolls out with the same comp, with the one distinction of the fact that they have the On a Monkey combination now, rather than the Ball Zen. That Ball Zen kept getting hacked by the Sombra, doing an excellent job of countering them. So instead of trying to force it, they're just going to switch to Monkey Ana.
Yeah, our Koala Kings certainly giving up that high ground, giving little respect to Smoke and Choster. However, it's not for any good reasoning. It's rather because they have a better hold just playing underneath. That bubble gets placed down. They can worry about that. They don't have to worry about the hacks, and they can test his payload. Choster's mech is going to be shut down, so they really can't engage, as Kemi's going to be the one who wants to try to get that poke in. Shut down Potato, who's so dangerously low. They would try, however, they're going to be able to just barely escape. Not try, though. I apologize for saying that. I lied to you all, because the Tracer's really the only person left.
I don't know how Kemi just walked into 5 people, pretty much by himself, and got out with his mech. That is some unbridled aggression. Oh no, he did lose his mech right at the end. I missed that, but
yeah,
still, not being punished for so long is a testament to his defense matrix abilities.
Especially when you have a Sombra. However, it looks like they can be losing Anguish so early in the fight. And on the bright side, they are able to trade out by finding Gag. Because they lost the D.Va mech so early, they kind of didn't have anyone to eat up the damage because Choser's freely going to be walking into your lines, managing to find not only Sgt. Pepper, but the rest of the team. Yet, Koala Kings are still going to be able to regroup, rebuild, and shut down the rest of Flashbacks.
I mean, that's the advantage of running Brawl here, right? These slow fights, even when you do get it's like your back, you can still win them out if they if Flashbacks try to overstay their welcome, kind of. Rhine Swing put in so much damage that last fight.
I definitely agree. Sgt. Pepper's also doing an amazing job of harassing the Sombra. I don't think Tri's really had a moment of breathing room while Navino's using this High Noon to kind of LOS people.
Now, between the Sombra and the Soldier, between the Soldier and the McCree, the Sombra has not been able to do what she wants to do. But she does have the EMP. Let's see if she can get anything done with it this fight. They also have a bomb as well.
They want to engage in with the Nano Monkey, popping out the Primal, the bomb, the window. They manage to find out Gag, and eventually that EMP is going to come out. Combined with the D.Va Bomb, manages to find out too. And a beautiful Primal, making sure that the Soldier 76 is not going to get much. That sound barrier was built, but it was not going to be needed.
That was a pretty good combo from the Flashbacks, but it did cost them, I believe, 5 out of their 6 ultimates. However, on the other side, Koala Kings also used 5 out of their 6, so I guess they don't lose much. But being on Brawl, Koala Kings do have a final touch on this map.
They are going to be using that sound barrier to be able to recontest. They need a pick out of it. They want any chance. Deathbot gets antied and eventually melted down, so the only thing going to be wasted now is time bank putting pressure, but that rally's going to be there. Gag unfortunately falls off the map because Tri's able to pick off V, so the rest of them just want to reset.
I don't really mind using ultimates to stall for time. I mean, they killed a good amount of time. The only drawback is potentially stagger spawns like this one. But otherwise, I don't really mind using ultimates to try to kill more time and potentially force ultimates out of the attack team. Because they can just build them right back up.
That was really hurtful. I saw Jeffbot fail to charge out of the fight, and now he's staggered for a little bit. And Joser loses their mech. So that's a bit unfortunate when it comes to this fight. However, not only is Potato going to be having a nano, but Tri's going to be having an EMP.
Yeah, The EMP into Nano Monkey is also a very good combo when they don't have the bomb. I didn't catch what ultimate charge Chuster had before he got demeched. Need to feel for Navino here.
Yeah, they're looking to do much. However, it looks like Anguish and Smoke are able to help things out. The one flip going to be shutting down Navino on the high noon as Anguish is inside the backline, able to finish off Gag. The EMP making sure that Sgt. Pepper doesn't have a moment to contest, and I'm pretty sure they can cap this freely.
Being on Brawl, they might have another last-ditch effort. It's kind of up to Koala Kings. If Lucio was in position to touch, there they are.
Yeah, and they got an amazing first pick combined with the Windows Shatter, Eva Bomb, and Visor. That's pretty much almost a guaranteed win, yet it's still traded in. Navino being really the only one to contest the point. Potato's going to go down. The last person left is going to be Smoke and Choster. I don't really think the tanks can do much on their own.
That was a very, very strong retake from Koala Kings. They were not afraid to use ultimates to get that point back, which is, you know, that unbridled aggression that we talked about. Anguish might be looking for back cap, but I don't think that's going to happen here.
I don't think it is either. I kind of think Koala Kings also just a tiny little bit shot themselves in the foot. Faye's coming up on that rally, so they have a bit of sustain. Sure, Navino and V are going to be having ultimates, but now their ult economy, they need to build that up real quick.
Yeah, but I don't think it will take them too long. Being on Brawl, you know, that map builds his amplification matrix so quickly. And when the dive has to push into Ryan and he gets those swings, get that shatter very quickly.
Oh, that hurts a little bit. Sure, Jeffbot was hacked, but it looks like that is going to be shutting down Faye, who had the rally, but just kind of fully inted in. But they do manage to force out the sound barrier. Then they disengage. There's nothing to worry off that. Jeffbot gets hacked again, but they can't move in because of the hack.
Yeah, and it's tough for the flashbacks here because you want to remove the high ground from the McCree soldier, double hit scan, but it is so tough to push into that Rhine hammer. And a big shatter from Jeffbot.
It's more tough walking in without a consistent bubble blocking the area. Jeffbot gets hacked, but they manage to pick off Faye. We do see Potato walking in, using the nano, making sure that Smoke has a bit of extra damage. They flush try. There's going to be no EMP build up midway. They do lose Gag, Sgt. Pepper, yet Navino and V are going to be trading things up. They do want a last minute rebuild. They have a bomb. They're going to be coming up on things to touch, so they may have it.
Yeah, coming into last fight territory, all flashbacks have is potentially an EMP bomb. Their Lucio is in position to touch. We'll see if he can build this EMP before the bomb has to come off.
Yeah, look at that. They're finally able to get the touch. They're able to finish that out, throwing out the bomb and EMP, looking for the combination. It's a little too high for them to find anything, yet they're still able to even things out. They're using the visor combined with the Diva Bomb and high noon. They're able to find out Smoke. They're looking to burst down that connect, and they're taking full control over the point. Flashback switching over to the Doomfist, needing to just come back really quick, and the Koala Kings don't have the room to fully push in. That Pulse Bomb is making sure that they can, and yeah, Jeff Boss returns, going to be hitting M1 and W at the same time, doing an immense amount of damage. Really only taking out Choser with it, but they're pushing in. The Doomfist now back. The Immortality is going to be securing them, combined with another Shatter. Jeffbot can really just hit Q and pop this and finish it out, but it's going to be melted before any opportunity is really found there. We see as Smoke returns back onto the modules, looking to try to finish them out. Then Navino's just trying to think it's still a 3v scenario as Navino's managing to find out Try, and they're still looking to peel this out. There's not much that the rest of the team can do as Smoke is going to be picked off, same with Anguish, and there's just nothing. And the end for Flashbacks, almost bringing it back, but looks like the target focus wasn't enough as Koala Kings even things out, bringing the victory and bringing us to a map 5.
That spawn advantage for Brawl on the defense there can be very tough to overcome. You know, having that Lucio to speed everybody back. The Rhine can charge in a straight line. Flashbacks were really, surprisingly, almost able to bring that back. It looked like they had lost the fight when that Diva Bomb didn't really get any value. But they were able to come back, make it very close, but unfortunately, Koala Kings with the spawn advantage were able to clean up that fight.
It's almost like, it's not a 2CP moment, but it feels like a 2CP moment where the team immediately runs back and they're able to just win it out. But this is exactly what I think both of us were expecting. Both of our teams running out, hitting each other face to face, not kind of giving up one side or the other. But now we're going to a map 5, and that's all the way back to Control.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an absolute slugfest, but it has to end here. You know, we can't continue this match any longer. This map will decide the series.
Yeah, both of our throats and the players' will to play can only last for so long, and I think when it comes back to control, both of these teams have an opportunity to kind of bring it back. It could definitely mirror what happened before. Flashbacks and Koala Kings can definitely take each other to the limit, 99-99. But honestly, if I'm with you, I don't think either one is going to happen like that. I feel like when it comes to control, Flashbacks, they want to end this out. I'm pretty sure they're boiling that Koala Kings have let themselves move this far up in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, it is Flashbacks won the first control map, and it is Flashbacks map pick since they lost Rialto. So they do have kind of two advantages there when it comes to this last control map. But I'm not quite counting out Koala Kings just yet. There's always potential. Looks like we're bringing it to Oasis, which does lend itself more to that six-man style. I think Oasis is definitely six-man's best map, potentially in the entire map pool, but definitely out of the control points. So there's a slight advantage for Koala Kings here, although many other comps, such as the Balfara, are very viable, and I think that's what Flashbacks is going to run, and that's why they chose this map. So we'll have to see how it goes down. I think the order of the maps is going to be very crucial. You know, if we see something like University first, that one is a much more even map, and that map can kind of swing the mental momentum in either direction.
Honestly, why does it have to be Oasis? It's so even. It's not in one side or the other. I think we can both make different type of cases for each of the points individually, but I do think you're right, 10 billion%. Whatever they try to run out first is going to affect how the rest of the maps work out, but I definitely think Koala Kings, they're a bit more favored. I want to see Flashbacks maybe try a bit more different things, maybe trying to play against Koala Kings with their own favorite compositions. You don't always have to run kind of a meta or what's best. If you're more comfortable with something and it works, it works. And, you know, you want that revenge against Koala Kings.
Well, that has always kind of been the Flashbacks mantra in a way, whereas if the meta composition isn't your favorite composition, it will become it, because you're going to play it a lot. So I don't think that any of these players are adverse to playing these meta compositions, just because that's kind of the team identity that they've always had. So we'll have to see how this goes, which map comes out first. I think it's really going to come down to kind of the coaches, Argumentera and Capital, if they can outsmart Navino, what they roll out on these first fights, which composition ends up being better into the other, and winning that first fight on the very first stage of the map is going to be very crucial. These two, Navino and Capital and / Argumentera, are very, very big brain coaches. Navino has that advantage being inside the map to call comp swaps, where Capital and Argumentera kind of have that outside view. It'll be very, very interesting to see kind of which one of them is able to predict what the other team wants to run and run their own counter to it to win this first crucial fight.
Yeah, but I think that you made one mistake in your kind of analysis. You can't outthink Navino. His head is so big with all the thoughts and coaching and the talking. That's where all the words come from. That he's just ready to continue going. I think it's not really kind of predicting them. It's playing better. Because how are you going to outthink the man who can talk at 6 miles per hour, which is not as fast as me, but it's still consistently fast. And look at this point. They're fairly similar compositions, but I don't know. I feel like Flashbacks, their composition looks a lot more solid compared to what Koala Kings are trolling us with.
Yeah, I don't think they're running out on the hog. And I gotta say, before we get into these comps, if you think Navino is loud and fast, you definitely haven't met Capital either. Those two are like peas in a pod with how loud and fast they can talk. The main difference here is that Navino's starting on the Symmetra. What is he? He's switching to the Soldier, whereas Flashbacks are running the Sombra. And they have the Flashbacks have the ball compared to Koala Kings on the Winston. Flashbacks get the first control of the point, but it hasn't unlocked yet.
Hey, it's more people who talk fast. We need those in this community, as we see both teams just looking for an advantage. They want to try someone who kind of engage, get a pick off, and try being on the Sombra is a bit more advantage. But Navino gets Anguish so low they have to retreat for a tiny bit, and yet they're still in this long kind of stall fight phase. Kemi is going to be the first one to lose a mech, and Jeffbot's going to be the first one picked up. Looks like they're just being able to get more value when it comes to the ball, being able to misplace them as Sgt. Pepper's able to find out Angwood, and yet Koala Kings have nothing left in the pool for the contested point, besides from a D-Mech Diva and a Pharah in the air.
I mean, I love the legs, but it's kind of that thing that we've been talking about. There's two approaches to taking the Pharah. You know, you either run hit scan and poke out the Pharah, or you just focus on the ground war. Flashbacks lead with the Sombra, and they focus on the ground war, and it will give them the first capture point on control. Or control of the first point.
We are going to be seeing them fighting in this small room, and I think Sgt. Pepper's taking a good idea, taking the Pharah 1v1, but Anguish already got the first pick. They're putting pressure onto that Mercy. Now Sgt. Pepper is the first one up with Garage. Faye is going to copy out because they have the Nano and Gas. They can finish out Potatoes. There's no res inbound, but there's no room to win this. They managed to save out Choser's mech, and yet Anguish is going to be the first one going down. Not the first one, but the second one, as we see Try eventually going, and they're able to bring it back very fast, might I say, after that loss of the fight.
Yeah, that was a very good retake from Koala Kings. Something of interest to note is that Faye and Potato have swapped roles. Faye is now playing the Ana, and Potato is on the main support with this Mercy. I know the Mercy is a pocket pick of Potatoes, but I have not seen Faye play Ana before. Heading into this next fight, both teams have 5 ultimates. Flashbacks do not have the nano boost. Oh, but they get the first pick.
Oh yeah, well, what type of nano boost do you need when you flush your Diva? And especially the Mercy gets hacked over the water! Oh, that hurts in a different way. I don't know how to explain to you. Jeffbot and Davino, they're looking to even things up. We see it come out, but so much damage being bursted. Faye does get picked off. Davino just barely is going to live for a tiny bit longer and then be found out, while Potato is able to res Faye, and the cap goes right back. So Jeffbot really is just anti stuff.
That was an incredible hack from Triangulum. I do not like this Primal because Kings do not have control of the point. You're not really stalling out for anything. It's just feeding more ultimate charge. And they're making a switch to the 6-man.
I mean, hey, sure, but you just sacrifice a little bit of time and a fair amount of ult charge. Let's just look at
Oh, he's switching to the Rhine. That's why he used Primal.
Yeah, 100%, but how really is that going to do well with Try's EMP already set up?
Yeah, I was hoping that Koala Kings would pick on that. There's a big rush. I'll have to continue that later.
Yeah, Kemi's able to get the 2K off of the bomb, but they're already dead. It's a fresh team kill, and they don't have enough time to really touch this point because those mines, they're ready.
Yeah, Smoke is going to try to minefield them off in the point. I was going to say I would have loved to see Try go for that lip EMP the pharmacy off the point and into the pit, but unfortunately they switched off the pharmacy. Try gets hacked. That is a big manual hack to start off the fight.
Yeah, they are going to be giving themselves that advantage in the hack type of fight, but the mines are there controlling the point. Sgt. Pepper, Dak, they're already gone. There is nobody left there, plus the nano onto Anguish. He's bursting out so much damage. There's nothing you can expect from it. And the rest of Koala Kings are going to be going down as Flashbacks take the lead. Will they possibly end it out? Whose prediction will be right? I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what map comes next. You know, City Center lends itself to that Pharah, whereas University is a little bit harder to run it on. And we are going to University. We could see this one come down to the wire, just because this map could swing really either way.
Yeah, it's fairly even. I think it really comes up to the brawl, but I think Flashbacks, if they try to run out something with different, like if they go with this Doomfist, I feel like it works very well. That's something Koala Kings is not going to expect, and they're going to have a hard time adapting to it. Or really this Junkrat Symmetra. It's the same concept.
Yeah, Koala Kings have been sticking to this Sombra Reaper pretty much since the first map. They haven't really adapted too much off of that composition.
Yeah, but it looks like Koala Kings will be meeting in the room first. Try is looking for some burst damage, trying to find somebody. It looks like a Jeffbot shield's going to be the first thing. Immortality is used on Flashbacks, but it gives them room to move in. They are able to find out Smoke, and Jeffbot hasn't even traded, but it looks like they still can't move in because they flushed Toaster because of the hack. So now they're not doing that just yet, and they're still being able to get a convincing amount of damage in, but they're not able to move in yet. They don't have the welcoming power. Potato does build up the window, and now they're gonna have a moment of contesting as they pop it. Phase will be going down first. Eventually, Anguish 2 doesn't get enough healing, and Smoke's able to find out the but they've lost the advantage inside this fight. Strike does want to even things out, being able to find out Death Pot as Kemi's spec goes down dangerously low. They have the sound barrier, and it looks like the Riptide's gonna be able to find out B before they can kind of invest it, while the Kemi's bomb isn't really to finish things out. They're putting pressure onto Gags at the windows there, and Gags will be picked out the moment that he tries to use it. Maybe comes back, but now there's a window kind of shielding them, protecting them, allowing the turrets to thrive, and then being slowly to melt down the rest of the Koala King. So wow, Jeffbot is going to be melted down. He's going to have to regroup with the rest of his team.
I mean, these fights are just so scrappy. Koala King's got a very early pick on the smoke, but Flashbacks played it smart. They backed off a little bit. That same thing, you know, they disengaged, they waited for the Rhine to come back, they gave up some control on the point, and then they came back and won the fight. Koala Kings were able to stall it out for a solid 40%. That's really good on them, but they invested too many ults while doing so.
Now they need to try to move in. Sgt. Pepper is coming up on the EMP.
You have the EMP, yeah.
Oh, and look
That's
at that! So beautiful, combined with the shatter. Smoke has no reason to play. Sure, Faye brings out that sound barrier, but V's gonna mirror back with it. Navino, however, is split from the team, gets a bit of peel from Kemi's gonna get that healing while they get the capture, or at least they're looking to, because there's still people on the point, especially with that window. I don't think Flashbacks are looking to win this fight. They're more or less looking to stall this out as long as they can, and yet Anguish is being uncontested, being able to start melting them down, and the sloppy fights are turning sloppier for Koala Kings.
The problem was Koala Kings had a really good engage, but they did not pick off the Symmetra. Symmetra is such a mid-fight carry. She gets that beam ramped up. Anguish did so much damage into the backs of Koala Kings while they were chasing the kills on like the Baptiste and the Lucio. And Anguish is just sitting there with tier 3 beam the entire time pumping into their backs. When you're going really aggressive, I'd really like to see you go aggressive on the Symmetra.
Oh,
He's looking
no.
for a move here. Oh.
That's rude. You also have to use the Riptide to make sure to finish them off. Same with the window. I mean, you already won with the boop. You don't have to be rude about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Try knew that he was going for it, and he completely stole the environmental kill, getting the knockback from the tire to steal his credit there. This is going to be very tough for Koala Kings to push into. Oh, wow.
It's a tough when B's there. I mean, B's silver, but looking like a little shining star as they're being able to recapture this at 92%. Flashbacks that were making an amazing decision not to try to fight this.
Yeah, I mean, they had such an ultimate disadvantage, but it looked like Flashbacks kind of overstayed their welcome just a little bit. The window came out, and B ended up picking out 2 with Lucio primary fire, not something you see every day.
And that Shatter's going to be able to try to find out Anguish. The Immortality's here to save. Jeffbot gets picked off very early. Choaster does have the bomb, but the EMP is going to be used first before they can get anything out. Combined with their own, they are able to hit that 2K. Same with finding Anguish. Smoke being able to find out Vino, kind of giving them a bit of favor, but it looks like Smoke's not going to be pressured out too much, but eventually still goes down. There's only so much you can do. Same with Faye. The fights are still being even.
I would have liked to see them go for the stagger on the Diva there. He was so low. Let's see, we're coming into the final fight territory. Koala Kings did just use their EMP, and Flashbacks are basically 6 ults. So unless Koala Kings can get something big early, Flashbacks should be able to win this fight.
Window shattered, Diva Bomb all out, Riptide broken, Bomb finds nothing, the window's there, splitting things up, Navino going into the backline, but the sound barrier's there protecting them. Navino's gonna be picked off, didn't expect the sound barrier too much as the rest of Flashbacks are just being sustained. Try being the true carry, bringing out the guns, he's rip-tiring them with just the plain guns, and there's nobody left to touch this point. There's only about 5 seconds left. Can anyone do this?
I don't think Navino can get there. He was the first one to respawn. I think this is gonna end up in Flashbacks winning the series.
Yep, you gotta give some props and love to their name. They brought it home, but will they bring that into the regular season? I think this was kind of evidence to show that Flashbacks, they're gunning for the victory, and they want revenge from what was stolen from them last season.
Oh yeah, this was definitely a grudge match for Flashbacks.
Absolutely beautiful. And I definitely think star player right now, at least for those last final fights, was Try. I think this man absolutely brought it out. Flex, you did some muscles, brought in the guns, and just was able to find those picks that no one else was really able to get during those messy fights for the side of Flashbacks, while I think for Koala Kings, Navino, and Piper stood out as star players for me.
Yeah, for me, I think my player of the match heading over onto the Flashback side was going to be actually Smoke. The main tank looked very, very good. He was dictating the pace of the match the entire night, and Flashbacks have kind of built all of their comps around him and his playstyle, and I think he showed that off really well tonight.
Yeah, you know, you make a fair case, and it's definitely a lot. And people in chat, they 100% can make their own opinions when it comes to the MVP and their own idea. However, it looks like Flashbacks, they're really just going to be leaving as the undisputed winners of this preseason. So when going into the regular season, I feel like that's going to bring in a lot of momentum for them.
Yeah, they're definitely a team that's used to having the target on their back. They won the preseason the last 3 seasons now, including this season. And they're used to having that target on their back, but also Koala Kings are used to being that hungry second place team, always hungry for the crown. So I'm very excited to see if they meet again during the regular season.
It's also a former clutch factor, but don't leave so soon just because the game is over. We do want to let you know that there will be matches coming up very soon, more like it, I believe, tomorrow, as the other divisions try to get in their last final games, and I still think they will be absolutely amazing to try out. But if you're interested in following any form of the social medias or checking us out, I'm user Intel on Twitter. That's Apathy. You can follow Jukes, who did an amazing job of production. And really, what are your kind of final thoughts of everything and going forward, Apathy?
My final thoughts just on how the match went is really that the ultimate usage. Whenever Flashbacks were losing a fight, they did not really over-ult, where especially on that last map, what bit Koala Kings was that they over-ulted trying to stall out these losing fights. And while you can build more time with them, Flashbacks was using 0 ultimates to clean up these stall fights, and so they just had the ultimate advantage when it came down to it, and they were able to win out the series.
Yep, I definitely agree. As a Marsupial fan, you know, I'll be rooting for them continuing going in, but I've got to say, you win this one, you gain the crown, you are undefeated, at least with this. But either way, if you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to hit that little heart, you can sub, make sure to join the Tranquility Discord, or follow the Twitter if you want to keep up with any form of the matches. Either way, I'm username _Intel, that's Apathy _19, and we will see you next time, and Tranquility.